Oh, you didn't show my favorite Justin Bieber one.
Oh, yes, we have that one.
That's my guy. I toured him for
No,
years.
the one where he's singing to a handful of iPhones.
Oh,
Is
yeah.
that one up there? Did you
Oh,
put
yeah.
that one up?
Where
There
was
we
that?
go.
Where was that?
The Danforth Music Hall. I used to be the house photographer there for 5 years.
Okay, I know Adam and all those guys.
Yeah, no, great guys.
Oh my
Yeah.
That was the charity show he did
Yeah.
for the food mission out in Stratford.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's been doing that since you're 12?
Yeah,
5
something
years?
like that. Yeah, because I'm only 17
My
now.
goodness, this
Yeah.
guy is just a prodigy.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. I was the first guy to work with Justin Bieber. I have some really good Bieber stories.
Okay, I'll tell you what. Let's
We're gonna go back.
Let's
Yeah.
go back. Let's go back. I know we're expecting a snowstorm soon. Look at that.
Yeah.
but let's go right into one of your most memorable Bieberlicious stories.
Well, I'll go into one story of how I met Justin Bieber.
Okay,
nice.
let's do it.
I mean, there's girls everywhere that want to know that story. So
I'll tell you, I got so many Bieber stories. So I was on tour back in 2008 or 9 with the Jabberwockies.
oh, hey,
Okay,
shout out.
So we were touring them across Canada. So we were in Winnipeg on a Monday night in December. Weather similar to today, -30 and snowing. It's Winnipeg, typical weather in Winnipeg. And we had a buddy of mine who owned a bar, small, decent sized bar, 600-700 person bar, and there was an upstairs. So after the show, he said, "Look, come by my bar. We'll hang out. I'll open up the club for you guys. Just, if you want to bring some girls or you want the crew wants to come back, we'll just hang out, 30, 40 people." So we do. So the owner of the bar, Sam, the venue was called Blush. It's not there anymore. He goes, "Hey, I want you to meet someone." And he brings over this guy. This guy's sort of like rough-looking dude, all tatted up. And this guy named Jeremy, right? Jeremy Bieber being Justin's dad, who's gone on to be a good friend of mine. And so...
Produced that really cool show or the documentary Bodyguards
yeah.
on Netflix.
Well, actually,
Watch it.
I'll tell you that story too.
Oh,
my friend's the one who funded it.
Oh, amazing. That was very well done.
I connected him with the guy who financed that film. Anyway, so I meet Jeremy. He's a bit of a rough around the edges type of guy, and he's got this kid with him who looks like he's 7 years old, and he's like, "That's my son. He just signed to Usher, and he's gonna be the biggest thing in the world." And at the time, no one knew Bieber. Like nobody knew who he was. So I'm with these Jabberwockies, who we were selling out like 3,000 person venues with them. Wow. They were big. This is after America's Best Dance Crew, so they were big. And I'm with a couple of friends of mine from California that manage them, and I'm like thinking in my head, what's this guy talking about? I'm in Winnipeg on a Monday night. There's a 7-year-old kid at a bar at 1 a.m. Like the whole situation
Very
just
random,
very weird. And
Yeah.
now he's telling me his son's the next big thing, and he signed to Usher. Like this guy's just off his rocker.
and then a couple of gremlins.
And
walked
I'm in Winnipeg, so you're like you hear the stories about Winnipeg. I'm like, this is
Yes.
securing the stories I've heard. So he goes, "You want to hear my son sing?" So I like a good joke. I'm one to like call a guy's bluff, right? Oh yeah, sure. So he goes downstairs, and there's a stage that's in the venue, and they have him play. I think it was an Usher song actually, and Justin was about 12 or 13 approximately, but he looked like he was 8 or 9, and he grabs the mic and he just goes, and we all just stop, and we're like, oh my god, this kid is good. And there's like 30 people there. He had swag, he had confidence I hadn't seen, and he just went with it, and we were like, holy shit,
Wow.
this kid is bad. So that was in December. So now fast forward sort of 6 months later, I used to do a festival every year in Toronto and Halifax called Summer Rush. And I get a call from the record label, and they're like, "Are you near a TV?" And dude, by some fluke, I'm at home. I don't know why I was at home, but it was like 5 o'clock. I'm like, yeah, I'm at home. He goes, "Put on Much Music right now." I put on Much Music, and there's 5,000 girls outside of Much Music with this live, intimate, and interactive with some guy named Justin Bieber. At the time, I didn't remember his name, right? Because I saw this kid for 10 minutes. And as soon as he gets on the stage there, I'm like, "Oh, it's the kid I met in Winnipeg six months ago." So the record label calls me, and they're like, "Listen, we need you to do us a big favor. We need you to put him on your music festivals next month in August." And I was like, yeah, it looks like I'm going to have to, but what's going to cost? I'm kind of my festival's already been announced. They're like, $2,000 a show. I'm like, okay, you know what? Let's do it.
Yeah.
So we book them for these shows a month later, and the ticket sales on the festivals actually weren't strong. They were at about 60% sold. As soon as we announced Bieber, we sold out the festivals. So first show was in Halifax, and Sam, the guy that works for me, used to live in Halifax when he was on the show. He's moved back to Toronto, but he was my head driver. He actually did a lot of security and driving out there. He just knew all the guys out there. So he goes to pick up Bieber with me. And as soon as Justin gets in the pickup truck, because it was just Justin, his mom, his guitar player, and a road manager. It was only 4 of them traveling, right? As soon as Justin gets in the truck, he goes, "Oh my God, it's the Greasy Caveman from Trailer Park Boys." I'm a huge fan. So we get to the venue, and Justin was supposed to perform at about 4 or 5 o'clock. In the festival, the headliner was going to go on at, I think, 9:30, 10. And in festivals, I don't know if you guys know this, it gets political with the bands because I don't want to open up before him. And
Right.
I sold my records, get me on him. And then if you book an artist 6 months out, but let's say he blows up and he's massive in 6 months, then he wants to be repositioned at the top.
Yes.
It's a mess, right?
Yeah.
So we're doing this festival, and I knew right away when we got into the venue, the first 3,000 girls at the concert, at the festival in Halifax, were all Justin Bieber fans because they had shirts and signs and everything. So I knew we were going to have a problem. So at about 4 o'clock, 4:30, before he's about to go on, I go to the owner of the radio station. I go, "Look, we can't put him on." So we put him on. We run the risk of a couple thousand girls leaving after they see him perform. You have to be careful, right?
Right.
So we're going to have to push him back. So we put him on. I go up to him and I go, "Listen," I said, "Justin, I got good news and bad news." I said, "Good news is this. We're going to put you on later, which means it's better for you." I said, "The bad news is you got to wait 2 more hours here in the dressing room." And he was young and naive. It was his first show. So he's like, "Oh, it's cool. That's cool." And I said, "Look," I feel bad. Because at the time, his rider was water and juice, and that was it. There was like towels. That was it. Not even food. So I go, "Look, man, let me buy you dinner. At least, like, please." And he goes, "Really?" He goes, "You know what, man? I haven't had Swiss Chalet in almost a year. Can you get me a quarter chicken dinner with a Caesar salad?" I'm like, "Bro, it'd be my pleasure. I'm going to get you 2. Because in a year from now, that rider's going to be like this long."
Yes. Yeah.
So sure enough, I got him the Swiss Chalet. That was pretty much his rider. It was really easy.
With extra dipping sauce.
I didn't even get him the extra dipping
Oh,
sauce. I should
man.
have. But I got him 2 dinners just to give him extra food. So,
Yeah.
so that was the first time I worked with Biebs. Then we toured with him a few times. Became really good friends with him. He actually said to me, he was like, "Dude, I want you to be my road manager." Because he was in the process of doing a global tour 6 months down the line, and he was like, "Neil," he's like, "I really want you to be my road manager. I want to talk to my manager and bring you on board." And I wasn't interested. For many people are like, "What, are you crazy?" But I'm like, it goes back to that unrewarding, man. I would have been traveling 200 days, wouldn't see my family, overworked, underpaid. You're accountable for everything, and so I kind of was like, "Nah, I'm kind of good." And then, but I had a good relationship with like him and his team and his management. A couple funky things happened along the way that sort of kind of grew my bond with his team. Mm-hmm. So we've always been good and really, really tight. And then his dad and I became really close friends. And then I sort of toured him. I did another big thing. I think I mentioned this to you before.
Yes.
But we
oh yes.
One of the things that I did is, so I think I mentioned earlier that I was always looking for ways to help out the record labels who just their budgets were kind of going down. So Universal Music bought a clothing company called Bravado, and they sell all the merchandise for all the musicians, the artists. And I had a friend of mine who owned a company at the time called Urban Behavior, the clothing stores, right?
Which is still around, right?
No, well, if it is, it went bankrupt
it did?
a couple years ago,
Okay.
so it did get bought by someone.
But Stitches is still around, right?
That's who bought it.
Oh, did?
Yeah, the guys that own like Stitches and stuff
Yeah,
bought it.
okay.
But at the time, the company was massive company. So I went to the owner because because what had happened was the owner, Forever 21 was coming in, and Urban Outfitters, and a lot of competition. So I said, "You know what, man?" I said, we should try and do this thing. I got access to this kid, Justin Bieber. He's really big. So he ended up doing a massive deal where he bought like 30,000 Justin Bieber shirts and put them in all the stores. And in exchange, I was able to negotiate where I could do 5 mall appearances with Justin Bieber across Canada to promote the shirts being in the stores exclusively. And then I would do 2 concerts, one in Vancouver, one in Toronto.
And that's when Bieber got those crazy crowds at the mall, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
The mall doesn't have the infrastructure to handle that.
I don't think anyone does. It was pretty, and then you know what? It's not even the kids. It's the parents are worse than the kids.
Oh,
as
yes,
you guys
we
know.
know that.
You know that.
Yeah.
So we did these shows, but again, he was it was interesting because it was like literally weeks before he blew up. He was already big, but I mean, like when I say weeks before he blew up, like 2 weeks after this tour, he was on the MTV Awards. He was on the cover of, I think it was either Billboard or People magazine. So he was like, I'm around this. I'm watching it. I mean, when we were driving around from London to Toronto, he wanted to be in my truck. We had a really good bond. He wanted to sit next to me on the airplanes all the time. We just had a good little vibe to us, right? Because I'm immature and we would always kind of goof around and play around. I was trying to actually sell his plane tickets on eBay, but his managers caught wind and they're like, you can't sell those. I'm like, they're not good anymore. I go, let's see how much we can get for these.
Right.
But they shut me down. So just childish things, right?
Yeah.
Crank called people, him and I. We had some fun. I mean, we snuck him out of Von Mills in a hockey bag.
You put him in the hockey bag.
Put him in a hockey bag. There was like 5,000 people and they saw our vans. So we just put him in a van, in a hockey bag.
I mean, did you have a security detail, or you just stuffed him in the bag and said, let's go?
Yeah, we had we had a bit of a security detail, but it wasn't to the level of professionalism sort of that you guys would provide.
These are services we can add.
And
the hockey bag.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, not every,
This was 10 years ago. 10 years ago, we didn't know how big it was going to be. I mean, I don't think we expected 7,000 people showing up, and it was sort of organized chaos at best. But in terms of security detail, I don't think I even had that experience to really. I've never experienced anything like that, nor did a lot of the people we work with.
For sure.
So it was pretty crazy. But yeah, we snuck about hockey bags.
What a sight! It would be amazing if there's video evidence.
I know.
He seems like the guy that would want to jump in it. And
dude,
he probably loved every second of it.
Oh, he did, man. He was a cool kid. I mean, very smart. We went to this one mall signing and he got like 20 Rubik's Cubes. I'm like, what's with the Rubik's Cubes? He goes, oh, I like Rubik's Cubes. I like solving them. I go, he was 14. I go, you know how to solve them? He goes, yeah, what?
Yeah.
Wow.
Done. Like, he's a smart kid. Like,
yes.
He is not just intelligent, like extremely intelligent. So funny enough, I get him out of the hockey bag. So we're goofing around. We're in a 15-passenger van. So him and I are play fighting. And I could see little snippets of Justin, like he's 14, 15. He's one of the biggest artists in the world. So sometimes he'd have a little bit of an ego on him.
Yeah.
So one time, we're in the back of the bus, or the 15-passenger van, and I'm on top of him, and he kicks me right in the face. And I look at him, and he gives me this look like, what? Like, you can't do anything. This is
like
my
he's
show.
serious. He's serious.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
No, we were playing. But you know when you
he's
play,
testing it. You're testing it.
Yeah, he's testing it, right? Like, you know when you play, like, you know that saying your parents just say, like, someone's gonna get hurt.
Yeah.
So we're goofing around, but I think a little thing went off. So you want to test me, so he kicks me right in my face, right?
Yeah.
I'm like this. So I look at him to see. I don't know if he meant to do it per se, but I knew he kind of did. But you're not sure. And he gives me this look, like no apology, and just gives me this look, and I'm just like, what was that for? He goes, because. I'm like, all right. So I hop over the back seat. And I grab him and I fish hook his mouth.
Oh,
and I pull it. And I get into his ear and I go, listen. I go, I don't care who you are. I go, I don't work for you. I go, I don't care how big you're going to be. I go, you do that again, I'm going to rip your friggin' mouth off.
Yeah.
I go, and I don't care. And then he was screaming. He was like, okay. Mom. And I let him go. And that was it.
That's good, man.
Don't damage his vocal cords.
Yeah. I did, I did just enough to let him know.
Yes.
But not enough to get in trouble to be like, you just ripped my son's mouth.
That's right.
Yeah. Oh,
it's testing. I mean, that's what young men do. They try to, they need a forum.
Dude.
They need to feel,
We were on the plane and he had his legs up on the chair in front of him, and the stewardess was like, can you please put your feet down? He wouldn't do it. So she didn't know who he was. So she walks back over like the third time and she goes, if I tell you one more time to put them down, you'll be off this plane. And he was testing her, right? So I just looked at him. I'm like, dude, put your feet down, bro. But yeah, he was testing. Yeah. He was testing a lot of people back then.
Yeah, I mean, because he's working. I mean, we sympathize with it because we work with talent all the time in those circles. I mean, if any of us had our high school days, our young adolescent days documented, if we were working, if we had 100 adults working for us, I mean, it's a tough pressure. It's tough pressure. He just needed a place just to be silly, to be stupid, just
100%.
That's all. I mean, I guess you gave him an out, definitely.
Yeah.
And set him straight at the same time.
Yeah, no, and that's why I think he's gone through a lot of dark moments, is because he's emotionally a strong kid. He's not stupid. Mm-hmm. See, a lot of artists, they kind of don't have social awareness, so it doesn't bother them what they're doing. They kind of just go through it. I was always worried for him because I knew he was smarter than most artists I've been around, and he's from a small town and he's in LA and traveling around the world, and like you mentioned, like you're bang on. So when he was going through some of those dark moments, I was not surprised, and I felt for him because I knew that everyone was kind of like talking crap about him, and I'm like, yo, this kid's 20, like 18. Yeah. I did worse things at that age, and I didn't even have 100th of what he has.
Yes.
So to see what he's gone through, where he is, I'm really happy for him because I know he went through some dark stuff, and I think he was just a victim of circumstance, but it looks like he's in a better place. So
yeah,
sick.